Welcome back to Rise and Shine. When we speak of books and authors, I would say books are that magic that authors really create and make it into being. And reading, we say, reading maketh a full man. So this is how we gather all of this knowledge that we gain from the books and apply to become great in life. And we do have an amazing personality who has achieved herself in life, who has accomplished herself to become an author, to gift a great gift in terms of knowledge to all of us with the ink theory. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Mesha, how are you doing? Imanthi Perera, yes, how are you doing?
Good, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, Imanthi, when speaking of the ink theory, this is one publication that you have done, being your first publication. Yes. It's a book that really inspires us and brings most of us into being. So let's talk a little bit about this publication. How and what inspired you into writing in the first place?
Well, I'm someone who's always sort of written as a source of sort of like stress busting. So even when I'm working, I would, write a bit. So when I realized that I had sort of been writing and collecting, bits of poem, prose, and even short stories in a little folder on my laptop. So it actually came to a point where it's always intimidating for a writer to put out her thoughts for the whole world to see. But I also realized that my writing sort of reflected a journey that I'd been on, from being in a bad place to a journey where I've gotten myself to a more positive place in life. And then I also had the backing of a lot of friends who always said, put your writing on Facebook, put your writing on Instagram, just put it out there. And when I did, surprisingly, I got a lot of good and sort of inspiring feedback from everyone, and that always helps the journey. It sort of helps boost your self-confidence as well. So that's when I realized, let me try and put this into a book. And once that happened, things just sort of went rolling with it. And at the end of the day, I had Ink Theory. So I launched it a year ago. I actually celebrated a year this November. Right. So, yeah.
Imanthi, tell us about how it all started, where you schooled, did anything, other than stress busting, which is a great thing, I suppose, you're all worked up and you just open your folder and just write, come on, let's do whatever
put it out there.
Whatever, just put it all there. How did it all start? Could you talk about your schooling career, where you studied, and what motivated you to do this?
Sure. So I went to ladies' college, grade school.
Yeah, of course. Why
not? So when I was there, I was always into languages. I used to, even in like grade 6 and all, when I used to write, my poetry teacher would sort of read it out to people and all of that. So that was just me dabbling in creative writing. But I've always, even for my A-levels, I did languages, English lit and all of that. So I've always been interested in that. And I was an avid reader. There were times when my mom would come to pick me up, and both her and the security would have to go all around the school to find me, and finally they find me on top of a tree reading a book. Okay. So I've always been someone who gets lost in my world in terms of reading and all of that. But after that though, I didn't really pursue writing as such. I got into communications and public relations, and then naturally writing is part of the job as well. You write press releases to content. So then naturally along the way, as I went up the ladder, I would also make time somehow to do some creative writing, but I seriously got into it about 2 years ago, I would say, 2015.
Yeah.
And that's when all of this sort of came together.
Yeah, I've seen quite a lot of kids like you in libraries, in the famous ones as well. They are lost in their own little world. Udima, I've got this, when we come out of the studio, there's this place where we had to put our shoes back, right? So there's this computer which runs 24/7, and the screensaver is all these little motivational things that go, about love, about inspiration and things like that. So it's pretty interesting, sometimes perhaps you could, change a person's life by just putting a screensaver, and you read it, and then it gives you some thought, and it just sparks. Yeah, come on, it makes a lot of sense. I was going through your book, Thoughts and Scribbles. There's a lovely little verse where you have probably would have been a personal experience to you. It says, little boy on the street, to a little boy begging on the streets, I wish I could do more. than just drop 20 rupees in a note in your palm. To whom it would go, I honestly don't know. I wish I had the assurance to know that you were well fed and that you had a place to rest your little legs. If I had a choice, you jumped with delight to cuddle up your mother on a cold, windy night, and it goes on. It just goes on to say that you have basically stepped into the kids' shoes, and you're seeing a total side from the other side of the spectrum, and you put it into a verse which is very touching. It's very emotional, pretty interesting. It's wonderful that most of us don't see both sides of the coin. And when you have a balanced opinion of what's going on in a little poem like this, and it's pretty interesting. Buddhima, have you just gone through that?
Yes, actually, I was going through most of these poems, especially all of them. I think it actually depicts a lot of personal experiences that you have gone through as well. I was going through a few of them. So tell us, what really motivated you? I mean, especially when it comes to write, as you say, and a girl, putting out your personal experiences in terms of a book is not something that a person would do. But what is it that really motivated you to do this? And how do you think that it can change the life of another being?
I mean, I think everyone goes through a certain circumstance in life where it sort of changes you as a person. You might be oblivious to everything that's going around, and suddenly something happens and it shakes your world. So I personally encountered something like that, and then after that I would have probably been in a bit of a zone for maybe a month or two, but thank God, thanks to the support of my friends and also me sort of doing this, writing things on the side, it helped me get my thoughts out there. And I won't say that this is necessarily only my experiences. Some of them are situations that maybe even friends have gone through. But at the end of the day, the book actually has 5 phases. I've actually said things like there's one part called Jaded, so that's when you're sort of bittersweet and you have all these, apprehensions about life. And then it also has a section called Chin Up Babe. That's where you sort of realize, what, I can be my own savior. This is not like a warrior princess story, but then I need to motivate myself. I need to push myself out there and, get on with life. So the 5 phases actually reflect that. And the amazing part is I saw myself go through that journey, and I saw myself come to a point where I was quite confident and I was ready to take on the world. And when I started putting writing out, I had people write into me, complete strangers. Recently I had a lawyer who wrote to me saying that, I think she's a criminal lawyer, and she said, what, after going through my day, it's a lot to take. And she said, every time I need to sort of de-stress and go into another zone, I read one of your poems. And for me, that means so much. That makes such a difference, because I might be thinking I'm just writing a poem, but if it has the ability to impact someone and make a difference. And then I even had a friend who said she went back to her degree because of something I wrote. And then she still keeps thanking me. And then that feeling, I think that's the reward at the end of the day. It's not fame or success or to be known as in theory equals Imanthi Perera, but the fact that I made a difference and the fact that I can inspire someone to continue that journey, that means a lot to me.
Right.
So
I think from what you're putting out in your own writing, there has to be quite a lot of wisdom as well, because
I hope so.
because you need to give out something which the world would accept. It cannot only be your perception.
Of course.
And how have you been able to do that? I mean, to get all these things, to make it right, to make it just the perfect one, so that a person would, even a lawyer, would read and be inspired. I mean, where do you get that wisdom?
Well, for me, you have to be real. I think rather than me be pretentious, use big words and try to put out some sort of concept out into the world, I need to see what works for me, what really ticks for me. So I try to be very real and very true to myself in what I write, and that's something that I've heard as feedback as well, that I'm very relatable, and I think that makes more of an impact than me trying to be someone I'm not. So that's really helped me as well, but that means I have to be true to myself at all times. I can't sort of go off track, and so you have to yeah, you have to know your core.
Yeah.
I think that's what's
So being
important.
very successful right through.
Yes, that's very important. Being yourself, believing in
Exactly.
yourself, and also being true to yourself.
Yes.
And Imanthi, if we talk about the other ways that you really inspire people, especially now when it comes to the present day society, the world, we are working with social media, and it
Yeah.
just connects with people across the world, in different parts of the world. It can, within minutes and seconds, we are
Yeah.
right there. So you've been inspiring a lot of individuals in that means as well, using the Facebook, then YouTube channel and all of that. So let's take a look at one of the short video clips of Imanthi Perera, who inspires a lot of people, and let's talk more about it.
Hi guys, so my name is Imanthi. I'm the author of Ink Theory. I've also got a Facebook page and Instagram page. So this is the first time I'm doing something like this. I'm not really comfortable, obviously. But yeah, so this is me doing what I love and trying to give you guys a positive message as well. So I hope you enjoy. So today's concept that I'm going to talk about is TGIF versus TGIT. So TGIT is not thank God it's Thursday, it's thank God it's today. So let me just sort of elaborate on it. So you know how when it comes to like Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, we get, we have this sense of dread where we think, oh no, Monday's coming, and then the Monday blues are upon us. I mean, there are even songs about it. So it's that sense of dread we have.
All right, so thank God it's today.
Did
Let's
you know,
work for today.
I
is
never
what
knew
you-
TGIT.
Absolutely, that's simply amazing, I believe. So I think that was a short clip that we saw. We would have loved to watch the
Of
full
course, yeah.
episode, but you can always catch it up on Facebook and the YouTube
YouTube.
channel as well. So Imanthi, if we speak a little.
Yeah, people tend to say that. So then I was also thinking people are very visual nowadays, and the attention span is quite short. So we spend most of our time online. I thought, you know what, let me maybe try and go out via a video. I'm not comfortable sitting and sort of preaching and doing all of that. But then part of the challenge is I need to put myself out of my comfort zone as well. So as a result of that, I work together with a team, they go as digital content. So together with them, I sort of do my own scripts, I write my own content, and we started shooting. So what you guys saw was actually the first ever video, which was launched on Saturday. And the response has been amazing. Within 24 hours, we got over 7,000 views, like multiple shares bordering on nearly 100. So for a country like Sri Lanka, where this sort of thing is kind of new, the response has been really great. And this is not just my friends sharing it for support or anything like that. I've had complete strangers who've sort of connected and shared their feedback as well. So
Oh, she's pretty good at it. You saw, I mean, Chirpy, I mean, you could easily come and do a musical show with us. That's not bad for a first timer, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How was your what you have learned from school, your spirituality?
Yeah.
What has this given you in this particular book that you have formed?
in terms of spirituality,
Yeah,
is it?
has it inspired you, or is it just the randoms? Is there any person that you look up to when it comes to that inspires you to get onto this more, and life stories, perhaps people that you are interested, role models and things like that?
Well, my role model is my dad for me, and I think even in the book you'll see there are a few odes to him, tributes to him, more like Jesus. And at the end of the day, I want to be a good Christian. So aside from that religious aspect to things, it's about being a good human being. So that is something I sort of try to bring out in my writing, and I try to sort of inculcate into myself. I mean, it's very easy to slip and fall and be quite nasty at times. I mean, we all tend to have our human qualities like that. But I try to kick myself and think, no, you should not be doing that, and you need to try and be better there. So that's sort of something I try to put out in my writing as well.
Something tells me that you have been a naughty girl when you were school. We can have a look at that. We can say something later on. We have the Facebook page, you can have a look at that as well. How can you search? How can we search you on?
It goes as Ink Theory,
Okay.
both on Instagram and Facebook.
So you have a
and-
separate page as well?
Yes, yeah.
Right. That's great. So, Imanthi, I think you're continuing a lot of your writings. So, what are we to expect next from you? Are you working currently on a different project, or you're still collecting more writings to come up with another publication? Or?
Well, that's the thing. So I've continued writing. I do have enough material for another book. I am sort of having that idea as well. I'm focusing on the videos primarily, actually, because I want to reach out to as many people as I possibly can. So that's what I'm currently focusing on, and I also am looking at possibly putting out a short stories book as well.
Right.
So let's see how that goes.
That's going to be very interesting. And we also do have short stories and articles and a lot of prose and poems in this book. So
Yes.
we are really going to enjoy it a lot. Thank you so much, Imanthi Perera, for joining with us.
Thank
and we wish
you.
you all the very best for your future as well.
And where can you find this book? Is it available?
Yes, it's available at Barefoot, and
Okay.
it's also available at all Vijitap outlets.
Oh,
as well.
fantastic! So there we are for all our viewers. If you want to get a look at this, it's beautiful. You know, it's very calm, and it's like listening to the 80s.
It makes your day.
It makes your day. You know, so. So you can get it at almost every leading bookshop around the country, and be inspired. It's a lovely little thing, and I'm sure you're going to give this to me before you.
Of course,
Yeah,
yes, and you too.
Of course.
Well, with that, thank you very much. It was wonderful
so
meeting
much.
you and
You too,
talking
you
to you
guys
as well.
too.
We're going to. In case you want to find her, it's Ink Theory and by Imanthi Perera.
Imanthi.
That's Imanthi, Imanthi. That's the spelling, Imanthi Perera. And you can search for her and be friends on Facebook and all the other social medias. You can send your little poems as well. She can brush it up and give it back to you. She beautifully agrees, although she's not on the screen.